like to call Property Management Committee to order. First order of business is approval of the minutes.
Move for approval, Mr.
Have
Chairman.
a motion?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, we're gonna adjust the agenda just a little bit. And we're gonna move item number 4, Milton Ballfield property, up to number 1. If there's no objection from the committee. So, Mr. Man's ready?
Are you looking for these memos?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. It's in here somewhere.
While he's looking for it.
I got it.
Okay.
Are you ready to go?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay. I didn't really call it. So just listen up carefully, okay? Okay. It's been going on now for a year or two. We've been trying to figure out who owns the Milton Ball Field, all right? And we tried several times even to get we thought the state of Tennessee owned it. We knew we didn't own it. There's no legal evidence that we've ever owned that ball field. All right. Just out of the clear blue sky, on May the 9th, Mr. David Maxwell from the state of Tennessee sent me an email. I'm just gonna read it, it's pretty short, so you guys can get the facts of the matter. I'm preparing some documents for discussion and subsequent disposal of the Milton Ball Field of Rutherford County from the state of Tennessee. If not yourself, he said, if I'm not the mayor, please provide the appropriate point of contact and their information for my paperwork. We surmise that the Milton Ball Field was a gift to the city of Milton in the early 1800s, which predates all of us, from a private landowner, and by the dissolution of the city of Milton in the late 1800s, befell to the state for ownership. An extensive search by Rick Murphy, who's an attorney, produced no consequential results. We feel that a disposal to the county from the state would be the best thing for all and produce a quick claim for definitive ownership. We, of course, must have approval of the State Building Commission for that disposal. The state can't even give it away until the State Building Commission says they can. We anticipate many questions. Yeah, we've already got a few going. All right. All that to say, this just showed up without any, I don't even know who David Maxwell actually is. And then on May the 15th, he sent another email, so this is all I got so far. He's waiting for us to say if we want it or not, basically. The state will gift the million, he said, here's a proposal. The state will gift the Milton Ball Field / Town Square, he says, to Rutherford County with a restriction in the deed stating for public use. That's the only restriction he says would be there. Further stipulated will be the cost to Rutherford County paid to the state to lift the public use restriction in the amount equal to half the fair market value or purchase price, whichever is higher, established at that future time by Rutherford County, to further dispose of the property to a non-governmental or private use buyer. In other words, he says if we ever decided to sell this to somebody else for a non-public use, then whatever it's worth, more or less, we would have to give half of the money to the state. That's all that says. Then he says, are you agreeable to these terms? Of course, I can't agree to anything unless the full commission at some point says they want this piece of property. Please indicate whether you can approve or whether higher authority It's needed. I've already told him higher authority is needed. It's not my position to say. All right, I just want to say, we don't have any plans for that. This just happened. We don't know what we do with it, if anything, except leaving green space for an eternity. And I'm not going to ask this group anything tonight except, do you want us to say, yes, we're interested in receiving this piece of property? It's right in, quote, downtown Milton. And yes, they did use that for a ball field for years. I don't think they've used it for several years now. And it's green space. And if we get it, we'll have some liability, some responsibility for at least keep having the grass cut as needed, and so forth. Nobody has talked to anybody. I hadn't even told I hadn't told any of these people about it until they saw this on the agenda. So I've not had any discussions with anybody about how we want to use it. None whatsoever. I don't have any plans for how that should be used. So
How many acres?
it's only an acre or two. It's not much, okay? I didn't look that up, I'm sorry, today. I didn't have time to check.
Is it currently being used for anything?
No. I don't even know who's cutting the grass right now. These ladies may know who's doing it.
I was going to ask.
One of the neighbors up there is cutting the grass, brother.
We're cutting.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, there you go.
The community uses it, kids go out there and play, and Lisa and myself have been making sure that it's been mowed for the past
Okay.
2 years.
All right.
All right.
Well, go ahead.
Anyway, I mean, I don't really have anything, any other, that's all I know.
Go ahead.
Have we opened up for
Yeah.
questions? Okay. One thing that maybe needs some clarification, in this letter from David Maxwell, and apparently he is the state's land transaction supervisor, but it says the state will gift the Milton ball field / town square. What?
That is that
What is
parcel.
it? What is it?
There
There's no structures, no building. There
It's
is.
just a ball field.
There
It's
is,
just a piece of land.
hold on, and there's a road that creates a square. Inside of the square is Milton Baptist Church, the Milton Post Office within a little apartment next to it,
Yeah.
and then the ball field.
Okay. So,
It's a specific,
So the
Yeah.
ball field is the only area that they're talking about.
okay. So the land that the church and the other structures sit on is not this
Right,
land.
that's,
Okay.
it
One
it
is
has
private owned
it has
and
its
one
own
is-
tax parcel number.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
is a specific parcel. It's just this open
The
piece.
ball field, the lights, how the lights got there to begin with, Rooker Rakes,
Yeah.
which is my wife's and brother-in-law's great uncle. He went through the state to get it. How the lights got there, because they said that it was a community, even they know then, this had been 40-something years ago, back when our kids played ball. They said that that belonged to the community. Even the state knows. They said the only way that they would take it and give them any type of funding on the lights was that it had to be a community thing. It was not a ballpark. It was a community. So if you wanted to go down there with your family, cut the lights on and have a party or whatever, as long as you paid the bill. That's the way all that went about. But ever since I've been a kid, the state has always picked trash up there. It's always been a state park, like Walter Hill too.
Yeah.
There's picnic tables out there. I mean,
Right.
it's been there as long as I've been alive.
Old concrete, wouldn't it, they-
That's how the lights got in, and Uncle Rooks, he's the one that got it pushed through.
All right. So if we take ownership of the property, then we maintain ownership, or are we going to turn around and give it to?
But there is no entity to give this to.
Okay.
Is it
Milton-
possible for Milton Baptist Church to claim it, since we're agenda to it?
Well, I don't care who the state gives it to be honest with you, okay? Right now, we're the only other public entity that's available, apparently. They have just now, after more than a year, agreed that it's their responsibility, their ownership. So,
If we should take it, could we give it to them, Mayor Burgess?
I don't know.
when
It's
I
it's
spoke,
gotta be used for a public purpose,
Public purpose.
whatever that might mean.
when I spoke to them last year, the state, they said that the only people that could take it is the county or anyone that's land is adjacent to it. They could ask for a quick claim. because their land is adjacent to it. So the church has adjacent land.
So that's a possibility.
And if the church took it, the church would still, it would still be a community space.
So first things first, we would have to get the state to deed the land to us.
Yes.
That's the first thing.
Oh, we gotta have it first, I don't.
I
That's the way you described it, they could give it straight up to.
I think that with the approval of the county, it can be deeded to the
Oh,
church.
then bypass us.
Well, I haven't asked that question. All I know, it says they say to lift the public use restriction, you'd have to pay back to them the half of the value of the fair market value, whatever it is.
So it sounds like,
Half of the fair market value or purchase price. So if you gave it away and it had a fair market value, then we'd have to, and if we didn't get anything for it, we'd have to pay the state half of it.
In the first letter, that the last sentence of that third paragraph, I don't know if your second communication would make this null and void. We feel that a disposal to the county from the state would be the best for all and to produce a quick claim for definitive ownership.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to write a quit claim deed. That takes about 5 minutes. But they can't do that until their state building commission says yes, and until the county says, yes, we want it.
So that's part of it. We've got to go back through the state.
I mean, all we're being asked to do is to tell them whether we want it or not, then they'll continue their discussion with the state building commission to determine if that's the final best outcome of this.
Any more questions?
What would happen if you say that you don't want it?
I don't know. If the state owns it, you would have to talk to them.
Can you, Pastor Hale? Pastor Hale, would the church be interested in the property?
I believe so.
Then can you communicate that with the state, that the church is interested?
I can only do what this committee
I understand,
suggests
I'm
I do.
asking.
Yeah,
Could we hear the opinion of the commissioner that represents the area?
well, sure.
Right.
That's up to your chairman.
Commissioner?
It's been a ballpark all my life. The last few years, it kind of went down, because Milton has kind of dried some. But all these people live up there, and it's the heart of their town. Like they said, there's a road all the way around it. We used to play softball there and knock the balls over the houses that's all the way around. It's that small. But they need this property. I don't think they need the tax burden of this property. If the county can take it and we can maintain it for a park or a green space and let them use it for public use and not let anybody build any type of structure on it, or rumors floating around all day. There's been some worse stuff than a building, but they need this property to maintain their Milton community. And I don't think it'll break the county to maintain it, because it's not that big. You know, somebody will need to mow it every once in a while. They're good people. There's not going to be a lot of trash on the Milton ballpark. So I would like to see them take it, and then if they're convinced they want it, work that out with them. But I think it would be in their best interest to let the county own it and maintain it, because somebody will have to pay the taxes on it if it goes to an individual.
Well, based on that, to open it for board discussion, I'll make a motion that we accept the state's offer to quit claim the property to the county.
Do I hear a second? Got a motion and a second. Sound like a good plan to me, but I would like myself personally, our county attorney, to look at it. If we take it over, I don't have no problem with that, but I do have a problem with it being in Milton and not being attended to if we be liable if something happened on that property. You know, if individual get hurt or something like that, I would want a quick answer to that, you know, if we would be liable on that end. But I don't have no problem with the county taking it over now. I asked in the state, we probably could move faster if the state know the county want the property. We probably could get it a lot quicker than to say somebody else wants the property. So I have no problem with that.
Do you actually have a motion there yet?
We got a motion and a second.
Can you read the motion? Because I think you hadn't got what he said in it, maybe, we're not going, they haven't actually drawn a quit claim deed yet, okay? All they're saying, if you're interested, say yes. We'll go to our state building commission and ask them if this is what they really want to officially do. Then they'll say, then if we say they got that done, I think we should somehow, Becky, sort of characterize those 2 or 3 steps. We're not taking, they hadn't drawn the quit claim deed yet. They've just said, tell us if you're interested. I think the motion should reflect that we are interested in receipt of this property from the state of Tennessee, subject to the State Building Commission's approval and subject to our review of the quit claim deed and any liability there contained before we officially accept the property.
And then we can have our county attorney to look at that maybe on that end. Any more questions? You heard the adjustment to the minutes.
And let me go one step further. And while you're doing this, if and when we actually receive the property, the property management is recommending that the property will be used in perpetuity for a green open space only to support the community of Milton.
That's what I was going to, is there a way to make sure that it stays a green space?
Well,
We
we're
don't
going
want a
to,
parking lot or a
For the
convenience
life of it.
center or a transfer station.
I'd rather see a playground for kids.
Yeah, it needs to be for
Something that the
kids.
whole community.
I think we all on the same page.
all we're saying is we're not going to agree to use it for any other purpose or allow anybody else except to be a space
Right, I think we're all
to be
on
used
the
for that
same
community.
It's
And
a
if the commission
small
approves
space
this, they won't be
anyway,
able to
so
sell it
you're gonna have to do
except to anybody because it's already determined for that purpose only.
And your tractors park there every time they come out to mow.
Yeah.
They will mow their little spot where they park, and that's it.
Oh, that's the state
And
you're
they
talking
leave
about.
trash.
Yeah, the state tractor.
And they leave trash,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Anybody want the motion read back?
Read it back so the public can hear it.
Okay. Are you all going to pull your original motion? Okay.
Just
Rutherford County is interested in receipt of this property subject to the Tennessee Building Commission approval with review of the quitclaim deed and liability before receipt or before accepting the property. And when received the property, Property Management Committee will recommend that the property be used in perpetuity as a green open space for the good of Milton citizens.
Everybody understand that motion? Your second still
so,
good?
so moved in second.
That's exactly how I said it.
Good job. Any other questions? If not, call the roll.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes. Okay.
Thank y'all so much.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Now,
We'll see we'll see what response we get from them.
what the next round brings.
It may be after I'm gone before the state building commission meets on this, okay? Believe me, that's probably the truth of the matter.
How will we be notified when this comes up again?
Mr. Piercy will be fully informed. He'll still be on our commission and he'll be first to receive this notice.
Information, that's true. Okay, next order of business, judicial building repurposing. Give him a few minutes to get out.
I think what you is your building is the prettiest building in Murfreesboro. I think Murfreesboro should be very proud of you.
That was a lot better than my fault.
The room's empty now.
All right, judicial building repurposing, professional service phase 1, PBA agreement modification.
Okay, so we have these two gentlemen here, and if we could have Mr. Nicholson and Mr. Preston just come on up here, because they're both involved in
Here's y'all red now.
and we can let Ms. Nolan get up here too if she wants to.
Come
Well, she's-
on, Ms. Nolan, you got the figures.
But anyway,
This part out.
You got your checkbook with you?
I'll just get back behind you.
okay. All right, so this is a little bit, it's about as complicated as that, but not quite. It's more current events, it's not 1800 or later. So just bear with me, and I'm going to try to explain this, and stop me, because I know you're going to have some questions. This won't be perfectly and abundantly clear, okay? All right, this is all about the repurposing of the judicial building, and all of you are aware that we've been working on this proposal here, what we're going to do, and we've selected scenario 7A. And the first piece of that is the repurposing, the refurbishing, all of the above, for this old judicial building. Now, we had some discussion, I told you we were going to try to see if the PBA could continue this project just like they've been handling the judicial center. In other words, they have in place a team of a contractor, an owner's representative, a architect and engineering firm that's done all that together. They did that through a process of issuing requests for proposals and selected that whole team of people. That whole team of people was selected for a specific project, the judicial center. That being the case, the attorney for the PBA does not think that we can have a new project in place with the PBA handling that with these same partners together, you might say, on that team, because it's a new project. This is not, it's linked, but it's not the same project. So what we're going to have to do is have another separate agreement with the PBA, and they've already said they would accept this approach, and assign them a new project. Just this refurbishing of this building across here would be their next assignment. That being the case, then that would have to be a process whereby they would again select that team that's going to direct that project. Now, what I want to do is sort of do a little bit of, suggest a little bit of a hybrid here. Grisham and Smith has been, of course, they are the design architects for the Judicial Center. Now twice, even before I got here, once, Grisham and Smith evaluated that judicial building over there and made a report on its condition and its needs and certain things that would have to be improved. And we've asked them through the course of this repurposing study that we paid them to do. Again, the second time they've done that same thing again. They've told us, they've developed all these scenarios, they've looked at every one of our structures and buildings, this one in particular we're talking about, and they have suggested potential costs for refurbishing, and they've identified and worked with our department heads on which ones would fit where and how many square feet they would need, etc. Now, the only thing that the county can do without taking bids is we can execute contracts for professional services, which includes architectural and engineering services. So what I'm, in a simple what I'm trying to suggest that we do to sort of get started is to execute an agreement with Grisham and Smith for the first phase. Now, Adam, I'm not proposing that we execute a contract for the whole thing. So bear with me again and stop me if you need me to. But the first phase of this is for basic design services. You have a document there that, let me see what page that's on. I guess it's about page 4 there. Page 4. The project initiation, schematic design, the budget and value engineering, and someone to document the existing floor plans is what I'm calling phase 1. And I'm asking for permission to execute an agreement with them for phase 1 only. Concurrent with that execution, we're going to have we would like to have our county attorney craft a specific agreement with the PBA for this specific project. And asked them to put together a team to develop this project. The only team member that would be identified would be Grisham and Smith. So we would have this architect in place already to work with them. They would not put that one out or for requests for proposals, but they would, under the assumption they want to work with us on this process, they then would have to go through the process of selecting an owner's representative and a contractor so that we could iterate on the cost and the best way to pursue this project and get what we want for the least dollars with those three people, Grisham and Smith. So Grisham and Smith would be in a position through this phase one, and the PBA through this phase one would be concurrent with that. And as soon as we could get them to us develop that PBA agreement, get it approved and get it signed, then they would then have to RFP again the owner's representative and the contractor that would iterate in a teamwork fashion with Grisham and Smith to design construction documents from which then we could actually build out what we want to build out and make these changes to that building. So now, if I don't know, that's sort of where we are. And I don't have a PBA agreement that'll be simple to draw up, assigning them this other project. The only thing we do is we describe the people we want to do and how we want them to pursue this, but we would only have the one entity already picked that we think is a critical component of continuing the journey that we've already been on now for some substantial number of months.
So basically, the 243,750 is what you're asking for approval on this page 4?
No, I'm not. That's what it would likely be, but I'm only asking for 66,700.
Okay.
We're not going to go forward until we see that this team, when they're put together, can develop this project at a price that we've estimated.
Okay.
If we can't get there, then we can't move to the next step.
What's the dollar figure?
Well, it's what they've estimated, and you can look at the paperwork on that 7A. The actual hard cost they projected is $2,871,000, but they've actually, you'll notice they talked earlier on, there's a 30% contingency. They don't know for sure on these kinds of projects how much it might be. So the total, if we have to use additional money past the $2.871 million, it would be a total of $3.73 million. We don't know. That's the reason we want this team together, so we can make that number just as low as we possibly can, just like we did on that judicial center, and we'll have a guaranteed maximum price before we actually start the construction. And we'll do that as we then move further. We'll have to, the PBA would then have to have additional dollars to pay these. We would still have the contract for the construction documents, et cetera, which would add up later. But that first 66.7 would hopefully get us to the point that we know a firm number of the cost. And we would have a contractor committed to that cost, a guaranteed maximum. So that's the request. If you can put all those little pieces, moving pieces together.
So to move forward, we're asking for 66,700.
Right.
Okay, sorry.
Now, Mr. Nicholson and Mr. Preston, is that a fair overview of what we're talking about?
It is.
Now, Mr. Preston doesn't know if he'll get selected again yet. But the only one that we know for sure is the one that that's the only, without taking hard bids, we can't do anything except appoint a professional engineer or architect.
So this preliminary estimated construction cost of $3,732,300, that's just kind of out in the air,
Yeah.
waiting on the bottom line.
Waiting on us to draw these actual construction documents in partnership with a builder, a contractor, and maybe some of the major sub to be sure how we should draw the plan so we can get it at the most efficient and effective cost.
But you're requesting permission to spend 66 right now to get this started?
Yes, sir.
I would make that motion that we go ahead and get this ball rolling, because it's a much needed project. I think we need.
Got a motion, second. Got a second. Any other discussion?
I will say, as a past member of the PBA, this is not a new concept. We have done this many times in the past by selecting a design engineer as part of the team up front, particularly somebody that's got the intimate knowledge of this past due diligence of inspecting the building, and there's knowledge there that nobody else has. So this makes obvious sense. So I just want, for the record, this is not a new concept by any means. It's a sound decision.
Based on past experience with them, that seemed to be the only way to go, to get a figure, a hardcore figure of what we're going to be involved with. And with the previous projects they had, they've been hitting it right on the money, so I don't see
This
no
is
problem.
definitely not their first rodeo. They
No, it's not.
got a little bit of experience behind them.
Yeah, a little bit.
We do. And one, let's see, now Ms. Nolan, do you, where are we gonna get the money? I mean, do you pretty much
On this one, I'll probably, because we'll do this before the end of the year, right? Okay, I mean, it's gonna be a this year cost, or
Yeah.
this year's.
That's right. This part of it will be, yes.
I'll probably move the money out and take it out of unassigned fund balance.
Can we hit the development tax account?
Oh, we're gonna hit that
Anything?
later.
Well, we're gonna hit it later, okay. All right.
And I will tell you that we have been approved, our grant request for Christie Houston Foundation to help us with the purchase of 525 North University Street for $250,000 has been approved.
Good.
So we'll have that money before the end of fiscal year, probably.
So any other questions?
Before the end of this year, you said?
This fiscal.
Yeah, it is fiscal year.
That's just around the corner.
Any other questions? If not, call the roll.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kush?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes. That's good.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We look forward to
I'm going to let
continuing
Mr.
the journey.
Preston stay with us if he'd like. Well, now, Mr. Nicholson, you may be in on this Lytle Street business too. I don't know.
Just don't leave us, just stay there.
I will hang around.
Okay.
Second, Lytle Street, warranty deed, utility easement, and temporary construction easements. And B, funding for the Lytle Street reconstruction.
Okay, so let's just take this 2A first, and you have a copy of this, and you can, if you've looked at that, you can see there's a fee simple right-of-way take. 3,670 square feet will be given to the city of Murfreesboro for the purpose of this road, this Lytle Street refurbishing. There's a public utility easement. Somewhere there's 778 square feet. There's been some utility changes that they did identify. A temporary construction easement, of course, that's over. We're finished. 3,077 square feet, and a temporary construction easement number 2, 4,813. Anyway, all that to say, this is sort of house cleaning and a technicality. And in view of all the discussion we've had about what we're going to talk about on this funding business, I'm recommending that we accept these changes here that with respect to this Lytle Street utility easements and warranty deed, et cetera. So that's sort of it. Is there anything else, Mr. Preston, they need to know about that? It just happens with road and Lytle Street improvements.
Yeah, what took place really with the property taking and also giving on the actual site of the judicial building, we actually gained a little property, or the county gained a little property. But over at the clerk site where Lytle Street went through, we actually lost. So the net came out to be what the mayor is talking about, that there was a small amount of property that is being requested to go to the city for this purpose.
Motion to approve that.
Got a motion? Here, a second?
Second.
A second. Any more questions?
Who was your second?
Commissioner Johnson. If there's no other questions, call the roll.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kush?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes. Okay. Next on the agenda, Leanna Recycling.
Oh, no, excuse me.
No, Part B. Part B.
Okay, 2B, funding of the Lytle Street reconstruction.
Okay.
I want to skip that one.
You know, this little piece of paper here just looks like so simple, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I see the figures on it.
But this has been I don't know, it's been a couple of years at least on this, hasn't it, Mr. President? This is a couple of years of iterating with the city of Murfreesboro. Of course, we know when we build a building, we're going to have some impact on the street that had Lytle Street not been improved, we would have done certain things to get that building put in place as required. And that's a bit complicated, but yes, that would have happened. So we would have spent these dollars, but we didn't know what they were, and the city was doing this Lytle Street reconstruction, so we have iterated until now to get, I think I put out there, the city of Murfreesboro has finally agreed with these numbers. And this has been a somewhat tedious journey. We'll just make it that simple. All right, they haven't agreed with us, and we had to agree with them. But we even hired an engineer, an independent engineer, to review everything that we've done to impact Lytle Street and and Maple Street, those surrounding streets there where we put this judicial center in the garage. And we produced a document that identified that in great detail, line item by line item. And that's the foundational part of our number here where we've landed. Now, you remember way back in the beginning, we agreed to pay half of the initial design fee, and that money was paid a long time ago. The $180,808 was what that was all about. That agreement we had to pay that design fee said that we were not committed to any other further cost of either one of us, the city or us. And so, but that's a firm number, and the construction part that we have accepted responsibility for, or recommending we accept, that is $772,684. Now, in addition to that, through all of these discussions, there were some lightings that were put up somewhere, I think around the Judicial Center itself, that we would have put in place had they not been doing this work, but they went ahead and put that in place. That was an additional responsibility, that $88,920. All of that totals to $1,042,412. And let me see now. The 973 is somebody. Jerry, you may need to get me back on track right here.
Yeah, that's what the PBA had previously approved.
Okay, they
Yes,
previously
sir.
approved 973. Now they're approving the $1,042,000.
That's correct.
PBA has now reviewed this and iterated on it, and they've changed the numbers a few times over the last year or two. But the $1,042,412 is what the city has agreed to, and the PBA has agreed to.
That's correct.
And we've already paid $180,000, so we're still left to pay $861,604.
That's correct.
And we don't know yet exactly how many dollars we're going to have left in the Judicial Center project, but there will be some. But Lisa is suggesting that we basically come on up here and tell you.
Okay.
There is some contingency. We're not finished with the project. The number may change a little bit, so we can't tell you precisely what it would be. But we're assuming it's $861,604, and Lisa, and then when that contingency money comes, whatever we probably take the money out of will be replenished by that amount of money. Mr. Preston, I don't know if you have a ballpark yet or not on that.
I think just our guesstimate right now that would probably remain in the project for the Judicial Center is probably in the range of $200,000 to $250,000 that would be remaining at the end of the project. That's our guesstimate at this time.
So we've used some of our quote contingency money to do some things. for example, we put a new courtroom and court chambers in place that we didn't know was going to actually need when we actually did this and made this decision. But since then, you know, we've got another trial court judge coming. So we're going to occupy the courtroom that we thought would be a bit extra for a while.
Yeah, we've been able to really finish out, other than the fourth floor expansion, we've been able to finish out all of the courtrooms in the building, which is a real advantage.
So whatever Lisa comes up with here and tells you, we'll have a couple of $100 plus or minus dollars out of the project to defray and replenish how we fund this $861,000.
Okay, out of 861,604, I have bond money that's been sitting aside for a while that totals 283,000. So I already got bond money set aside that's been left over from other city road projects. So that would come off first. So now we're down to 578,500, and I rounded to 580, and so I'm recommending 400 to come out of development tax, and the balance 180 coming out of unassigned fund balance. Then in my request for the amendment is that when the monies come back in from the project, after everything is said and done, first monies go back to development tax and replenish those funds.
You talking about maybe the 200 and something that would probably be left over?
Right.
The contingency.
Yeah, that amount will go in.
It basically come back down to about 6 something with,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
yeah,
yes,
okay.
yes.
6, and she's got 288 that's set aside for roads that we didn't spend.
Previously, we've just
Previously.
been holding on.
Been holding for
Kind of
you
knew
for-
that, well, we didn't have anything to spend it on, but knew that this was potentially
Right.
a place, a source for those bond monies to go to. Just to let you know, we have received today $2,718,000 in development tax. That's for capital. You know, it's double that. The other half is in debt service. But what we have not recognized yet is $886,000. So the way I'm phrasing it is coming out of our restricted fund balance for capital. But just so that it all makes sense, that any monies left in the project goes back to the restricted for capital fund balance. And then when the 250 comes, I'm going to be recommending that come back to the also development tax, because 550 of that building came out of development tax of the Dr. John's building. So
Okay, that 250 you're talking about.
that 250. So I'm trying to, even though I'm showing 400 coming out, I'm expecting
250 plus or 288 plus the 200.
Come back.
So
Because almost all of it will come back.
that's kind of, and then 180 out of fund balance.
Well, the best case scenario is that the way you got this played out, it's not going to put a strain on the ending fund balance.
That's what I was trying to
And
do.
it's not going to put a strain on the
On
development
development
tax.
Right.
So,
That is exactly what I was trying to accomplish.
okay, well, you did.
Good job.
Any more questions?
So in order for us to pay the city, we need this budget amendment so we can get it funded and get this this part of the story finished.
I have a motion to that effect.
I'll make that motion. However it needs to be worded.
Well, you're voting on this budget amendment here.
Budget.
And to take out of restricted for capital 400,000 and out of the unassigned fund balance 180 and transfer that to other funds,
Transfer to other funds. Yeah.
580,000. So we'll have enough money to fund this business.
Glad you brought your checkbook with you.
Should we go ahead and allocate where the money come out of, or just let?
Well, that's where that's, I mean, that's,
It says right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just recommend that.
Oh, we just recommend.
Amendment,
Okay.
that budget
no, go to
amendment.
budget.
Okay. Got a motion, recommend to go to budget. Right, second.
Who seconded?
I did.
Trey second, you made the motion.
Whoever you want.
Yeah, let's grab one. Any more questions? If not, call the roll.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Kush?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes. I tried to skip that one to save some money, but they caught me.
Well, thank you guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you all for the work on this project.
Thank you. Yeah, they caught me. Okay, next on the agenda, Leanna Recycling Center.
We discussed this previously, and I don't even know, we may already have the authority we need, all right, but I want to just be sure. In other words, we're developing, we've had our surveyor put on a piece of paper exactly the site plan for that, and we're ready to start the site plan for where we're going to put this convenience center. It's a recycling center, we'll call it. And so, that being said, we had in our minutes even some time back that we were going to remove the building. I'm not sure we had a motion on that, but we disclosed that we're going to take down that building there that housed that original, was that a school building, Mr. Pierce? I don't know, somewhere years ago.
Then it was community.
But we want you to, this committee, to say that, to give permission officially for us to start the removal process for the buildings there on that property so that we can actually put in place there really a comprehensive recycling center. And we'll pay for that out of the current solid waste budget.
Okay, do you not have any questions?
So you need a motion to give approval to take the buildings
To
down,
allow us, give us full permission to start that removal process.
to remove the building, and the money will come from,
Solid waste. We've got some money, our current contractors that have been doing the work at the landfill can do the work for us, and we'll figure out how to haul the stuff off.
I'll be glad to word that as a motion.
Okay. Motion is seconded by Commissioner Cook. Any more discussion?
And make that word buildings, there's some other little buildings that's got to go. Just make it buildings,
Okay.
Should I
plural.
say old buildings?
No, just say buildings.
Okay.
Give us flexibility, please.
There's been some questions raised, Mayor Burgess. Of course, it's not my district, and I'm not trying to butt in, but the people asking the questions live in my district. Do we have ownership of that property
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
on paper?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we do.
Some think we don't. That's the reason I was asking.
Okay, I will confirm that, but I think I have traced the, in fact, I think that's how we got the actual, got our survey. I got the deeds on the property.
Very good.
And he's used that, the calls and the links on that. But I will confirm that again, but I've got a little bit of stuff piled up on my desk, and I don't know which stack to look in right now. Okay.
Where are these buildings, or how do you say that it's in the current Leanna Recycling Center, or where exactly are they?
It's on the property that's owned there, that contains, it now contains the ball fields, old ball fields, it contains the recycling center, all of it, about 2 acres there.
So how do you,
I wish if you'd give me the grace of getting the parcel number, all the buildings on parcel number so-and-so, that's owned by the county, it might be a better way to do that.
I think we need to be specific about what buildings you want to take
All-
out.
Any or all of them that we so desire. that we
All
so-
buildings on that property.
All of those, we've given permission to take them out, take them all down as needed.
On part, and you'll provide that parcel.
I'll give you that parcel number,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. I have approved removal of buildings on parcel blank.
Right.
Okay.
Any more questions? If not, call the roll.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kush?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes. Okay, any other business to come before the committee tonight?
Hold on just one moment if you don't mind. Ms. Nolan is still here with me. And I do have some other business. I'm glad I wrote these notes this afternoon. Okay, let's go one step further with this judicial building refurbishing. Next to that is the annex and the Cohen building. And 7A says we're going to sell those buildings. sell that piece of property. And we, again, we are drawing, or having drawn a site plan of that, you might say, which shows those buildings and the actual piece of property that would be sold. So what we want to do is this: we want to take step one. Step one might not prove productive, but we have to start somewhere. So once we get this parcel description done, so we can issue, if we sell it, we could draw a deed up, somebody know exactly what they own. I'd like for this committee to recommend to surplus this, what I'm calling the annex property. Recommend surplusing the annex property. Recommend this, send this recommendation to the purchasing committee. The purchasing committee is the only committee that can surplus something. Okay? And then if the purchasing committee then would develop some plan to make some public notice of sale, maybe with even some conditions within it, of this building and property, and let's see if we can get any offers that you think is reasonable to accept. But I think the property management needs to make a recommendation first to surplus the property and forward this on to the purchasing committee for their consideration. That's what Ms. Nolan and I have decided is the right steps
The next step.
to take if we want to really get serious about it. Now, if that doesn't work, then we'll have to regroup, decide what's next, okay? But we'll start with that.
Would this be on the agenda for the 6th?
We only have one more purchase committee set up to go here. Yeah. So we would take that on to them, and then, of course, the commission wouldn't have final approval until
14th.
if the purchasing committee decides, yes, this is okay, then that would be in their minutes and you'd be approved by your commission on the 14th.
We pretty much have heads up on it already because the members of the purchasing committee.
Well, you got,
Three of them.
we got 4 people here. This is the purchasing
There
committee.
you go.
You'll find everybody.
Yeah, this is the purchasing.
That's the way I set it up.
That's the way you said it. I didn't think about that.
Well, then you'll hear it again.
Okay, there you go.
Sound like a good plan to me.
Yeah.
But
Any discussion from any committee members?
So basically, this means it's going to advertise for sale.
yeah.
You just need a motion to
We
pass
need-
this on to the purchasing
I think
committee.
we need a motion here to send this on to purchasing.
Motion passing on to us. Do I have a motion? Motion to second.
Second.
You have a second? Any discussion? Not call the roll.
Okay, your motion is to declare the annex surplus and forward the matter to the purchasing committee, for the purchasing committee to develop a notice of public sale and see if they get offers. That's your motion.
Acceptable offers.
I believe that's exactly how I worded it.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Commissioner Mackey?
Yes. Any other business?
This might be a silly question, but since we have a quorum of the purchasing
Can we go
committee,
ahead and do it now?
can we?
It didn't
We did
advertise for
advertise.
you.
Yeah, was all going to jail.
Okay.
And besides, Vicky's not here.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'd be mad.
Any other business coming for the property management committee tonight? Not entertain a motion to adjourn.
All right, thank you for this